The Urantia Book, A New Religion or a Cult. Hey guys, it's John here in the studio on a grayish sort of day outside. Kind of chilly. Drinking my beautiful mug of coffee. I hope you are having a wonderful day just like I am. I wanted to hop on and make this video because I get a lot of people who do ask me about the Urantia Book. And I wanted to talk about the book itself because people often want me to dive into its teachings. I want to explain my views on the Urantia Book, but I want to bring it into a historical context. Most people don't even know what the Urantia Book is. So the Urantia Book was written sometime between 1924 and 1955. It was first claimed to have been written by celestial beings. In the book, it gives them these unusual names and the origin of the authors of where they come from, other planets and things of that nature. It was said to be delivered to a sleeping subject. I'll explain a little bit later about the sleeping subject as well. But the book appears to have been plagiarized by multiple sources, including the Theosophical Society and religions themselves, without any attribution. And so it kind of is a plagiarized mix of New Age thought of the early 1900s. There have been praise for its criticism for religions and science-related content. There's all kinds of things mixed in there that it's known for. It all comes back to this couple named William Sadler and his wife Lena Sadler. They were both physicians in Chicago, and they were told by an anonymous sleeping subject's wife about the sleeping episodes that her husband was having, where he was going to sleep and just starting to say things, and she asked them to come over and witness it. Now, a little background on Dr. Sadler. Dr. Sadler had written a book called The Mind of Mischief, in which he explained the fraudulent methods of mediums and how self-deception leads to psychic claims. He had a deep interest in the phenomenon of psychic experiences, mediumship, and things of that nature. And he attended regular meetings of people who discussed religion and philosophy so that he could come to his own sort of construct about what it all meant. And he was also, finding all this other information from other people. He came across this sleeping subject because, as I said, his neighbor came over and said her husband was having these episodes. And supposedly the sleeping subject was a man of business. And so he was not wanting to put his name out there as the sleeping subject, so he's just known as the sleeping subject. Sadler couldn't explain what he was seeing, so he openly said he didn't understand it. He didn't understand what was going on. Now let's talk about the sleeping subject. Yeah, to understand the common ideas or the thoughts of psychics at the time of the writing of the Urantia Book, you have to understand what was going on in the metaphysical communities of the time. In the early 20s, 30s, 40s, the Theosophical Society was at its heyday. The Theosophical Society blended Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, and Egyptian beliefs as part of their teachings. And Edgar Cayce was the forefront as the sleeping prophet. There was also a number of people who were claiming to be bringing celestial beings through in information at the time. The fact that the sleeping subject has chosen to remain anonymous makes the origins more dubious rather than profound. It really kind of, rather than him stepping up and saying, this is who I am and this is my background. At the same time period that all of this Theosophical Society that Edgar Cayce was going on, this was also the time of H.G. Wells, because late in the 1800s, H.G. Wells started writing his books, and it came into the early 1900s. It was a very big science sort of oriented expression going on at the time. And H.G. Wells wrote stories of alien visitations, and other authors were writing about alien contacts at the time, which literally put those ideas, those concepts into the mainstream consciousness. People were thinking about psychic mediumship and alien contact. This was something that was going on in the collective consciousness at the time. People were thinking these things. The best way to measure the Urantia Book is to look at its biblical references and manipulations of biblical words to create a celestial narrative. For instance, the star system Satania is a direct reference to the word Satan. Okay, we know it's a direct reference to the word Satan, and it claims that this is a star system, and the word Satan was someone from Satania. A biblical term meaning accuser is what Satan really is, or it can also mean temptation. The Urantia book continually uses the term the Father. Now, if you go back and you look at the Edgar Casey work, he's always talking about the Father, God the Father, God the Father. Well, this is all very patriarchal understanding of God from the Bible's resources. It's coming back from this patriarchal time, 2,000 years earlier, where men were the head of everything. There was no equality between men and women, and a lot of the biblical teaching of the times really put women down and made them feel less than equal. And for the Urantia book to reference God as the Father, this means obviously that this sleeping subject came from a Christian background. He also used Hindu terms, and that tends to show his interest in the Theosophical Society teachings, because that's what they were kind of pushing. So that all said, we can kind of figure out that the sleeping subject was a Christian influenced by Theosophical Society teachings. And he had very specific beliefs that because of those leanings, that he started creating a narrative around his personal beliefs, and creating this theosophical sort of belief in celestial beings coming through as he slept. The Urantia book has now spawned over the years, and now there's a thing called the Urantia Foundation. The Urantia Foundation has been organized to promote the teachings of the Urantia book, and it's a nonprofit organization. And it listed as a charity, it will take in close to $3 million a year, and all through book sales and through donations. If you search Urantia Foundation and philanthropic or charity work, you find out a couple things. You say philanthropic work, you suddenly find that it really is focused on creating estate planning so that the estate of the people who have died can continue to donate to the Urantia Foundation. They're very much focused on how to get you to donate. So you search philanthropic work, it immediately starts showing you how to donate to them. The only real charity they do is geared towards people who are students of the Urantia book. They offer the opportunity to apply for grants if you're a student of the Urantia book. So it's sort of an incestuous charity. They're just kind of creating more and more of this reach out to the people who believe as they do, and supporting spreading the word of the Urantia Foundation. When you look at other charity works they do, there's none documented online. They don't do any community outreach. They don't do loving, caring missions to help people. So they're really about basically creating this income so they can continue to spread the Urantia book. Is the Urantia book and the Urantia Foundation a religion or a cult? So let's dive into the definition of religion. According to dictionary.com, religion is a noun, a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe, especially when considered as the creation of superhuman agency or agencies, usually involving devotional and ritual observances and often containing a moral code governing the conduct of affairs. Number 2, a specific fundamental set of beliefs and practices generally agreed upon by a number of persons or sects. Number 3, the body of persons adhering to a particular set of beliefs and practices. Number 4, the life or state of a monk, nun, etc. Number 5, the practice of religious beliefs, ritual observances of faith. Number 6, something one believes in and follows devotedly, a point or matter of ethics or conscience. And I would add that religions are also a business model, because every religion that passes the plate and does all those things to create the income, to pay the priest, to pay the light bill, to pay all this stuff. So it is a business model as well. Cult. A particular system of religious worship, especially with reference to its rites and ceremonies. Number two, an instance of great veneration of a person, ideal, or thing, especially as manifested by a body of admirers. Three, the object of such devotion. Four, a group or sect bound together by veneration of the same thing, person, ideal, etc. 5. Sociology. A group having a sacred ideology and set of rites centering around their sacred symbols. Number 6. A religion or sect considered to be false, unorthodox, or extremist, with members often living outside of conventional society under the direction of a charismatic leader. The members of such a religion or sect. And lastly, any system for treating human sickness that originated by a person usually claiming to have sole insight into the nature of disease and that employs methods regarded as unorthodox or unscientific. So is the Urantia Book and the Urantia Foundation a religion or a cult? I think when you look at the two definitions, you can find out really quickly, just looking at the first one, religion, a particular system of faith or worship. I do believe it's a particular system of faith. They're telling you this is what to believe. So to me, it does have that sort of connotation. And that would mean it's a religious worship. So the definition of cult says a particular system of religious worship, especially in reference to its rites and ceremonies. I don't see it necessarily having a lot of rites or ceremonies that you have to lean into to follow the Urantia material. I think it's just information that came through during a time where that sort of information was coming through everybody because that's what they were all thinking and living into at the time. So I don't think it necessarily defines itself as a cult, but more that it's trying to define itself as a new religion. And when I look at it personally, from my personal perspective and having gone through it all, I look at it from the perspective of we don't need more religion. We don't need more schools of thought that we have to put faith in and follow along with. The structure of the Urantia Foundation is absolutely the structure of a modern religion. We're teaching a text that we deem as a spiritual or holy text or something that we put extreme importance in. And we created a structure around it where we collect donations to keep the structure going. So it is a classic new religion being started. And when I read it, to me, it's much more convoluted. I think it's all far simpler. I think this is kind of leaning us out into this modern New Age kind of beliefs. Now, you have to realize that the Theosophical Society and the Urantia Book all coming out at the same time. This is the root foundation of the modern New Age movements and the modern New Age ideologies. And so, to me, whether be it old dogmas or new dogmas, it's just dogmas. And I think it comes back to us stepping into our own personal divinity without need for religions or ideas of religions. And now I'm just speaking my personal truth. If it rings true to you and you can come out of it a more loving person, I'm all for it. Go for it. For me personally, it's far too convoluted. It's far too Christian in the way it's taught, and it's far too subjugative to an external God force. So to me, I look at it as not necessarily helpful in any way, shape, or form, and I look at it as more of a group who are leaning into an early 1900s book from an anonymous source and claiming it to be more than it really is, and then creating a religious and quite honestly a business around it. They've created a pretty good business around it. But like I said, if you find truth in it, feel free. As long as, like I say, always judge anything that you get into by the results that it gives. Are you more loving? Are you more accepting? Are you more caring? Then if that makes you feel that way, then I think you found your way to God. I will never go that way because it does not ring true to me at all. I truly believe, as my first regression said, it's all far simpler. It's so simple we have a hard time comprehending how simple it is. And this Urantia book is highly complex, highly complicated in its ideologies. It's far more simple in my mind. So will I dive into the Urantia book in detailed conversation? No, because I don't give the book that much importance, because I think it's just another pathway away from ourselves. So that's my thought on it. And like I said, if it's something you believe in, great. And just remember, it's the result of your belief that gives you your outcome. And if you find yourself to be more loving, more caring, and not judging others for not believing the same as you, then I think you're fine. But for me, I'll never follow its teachings, because I think it's just a convoluted mess of theosophical teaching coming through an anonymous source which has no validation, so or verification. So that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.